Welcome to your Excellent Health Service TV, where I'm joined by Nikki Hillis, who's a nutritionist. How are you today, Nikki?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, and you're going to tell us all about detox and how to do it, why do it, and presumably how much better you'll feel after doing it.
Definitely, you will.
So, detox, what's the thinking behind a detox?
Okay, so the main reason for doing a detox really is just to reduce our toxic load so our bodies function better. So it's a bit like giving your car a service, really. It usually runs better afterwards. And, you know, we're naturally detoxing every day anyway, but it's really sort of about setting time aside to really help support that whole process by giving yourself the right foods, doing various different lifestyle things to really help do a deeper detox. And, you know, because our liver's really bombarded with external toxins in the environment and just even in the air we breathe, in the food that we eat.
I was thinking of a dirty martini, but perhaps that's not what you were going to suggest there. But
no, you probably have to stay off that for a little while.
Right, so apart from not drinking too much, or I don't know, what's the right amount to drink? Is there a right amount?
So, well, actually in the sort of detox period, so I usually recommend doing a detox for about a month. And the reason is because it takes 28 days for your liver cells to regenerate themselves. So it's really good within that time to avoid certain things like alcohol being a main one because it puts such a burden on the liver, and also things like coffee and wheat and dairy preferably because it's quite heavy on the digestive system. It takes up a lot of energy and it's also quite mucus forming. Other things to avoid is processed foods, refined sugar. You can substitute for things like raw honey. I often like to sweeten my smoothie with dates and things like that. So there's little tweaks you can make. You don't have to completely deprive yourself. And preferably as well cutting out for that month period animal proteins where possible, just because again it's very heavy on the digestive system, and there's lots of great alternatives. Things like tempeh is really good at fermented tofu. Don't know if you've come across that one before. And
not yet.
No, but you may do soon. And things like hemp proteins are really good to add to smoothies, and lentils, beans, nuts and seeds, preferably all organic as well where possible, because then you're not getting extra burden from pesticides that can be sprayed on non-organic fruit and veg. And then obviously fruit and veg is very important, preferably raw. Lots of fruit that's sort of low sugar. Apples are amazing to help cleanse the liver. Berries, they're really packed full of antioxidants that really help with inflammation, reducing inflammation in the liver. With vegetables, lots of green leafy veg is really good. So things like kale, lettuce, and the reason it's good is because chlorophyll is it naturally binds to toxins in the body and draws them out. And actually a great superfood supplement you can take is something like chlorella, because chlorella has the richest food source of chlorophyll in, and they've done studies to show it binds to heavy metals, toxins and even pesticides and draws it out of the body. It really supports the colon and helps cleanse the colon. It acts a bit like an intestinal broom. So, you know, just putting things like that into your diet's really good.
Right, there's one or two things arise from what you said.
Yes.
My cardo delivery doesn't really contain these hemp and the kale things, so
yes.
it needs a bit of a behavioural change
yes.
on that. And a lot of these things also, for somebody of my demographic,
yes.
it doesn't seem to be quite, it needs a bit of a cultural change. Even though we've had International Women's Day, it seems to be a little bit of a change in one's culture. So I mean,
yes.
it seems quite complicated, as if, you know, you need a book or a guide or you know, something online where you can say, you know, Monday I do this, Tuesday I do that, or my weekly shop. I mean, it's quite a culture change for most people, isn't it?
Yes, and that's why it is quite good to go and see, you know, a nutritionist to get a plan in place for you and to really make sure that you're doing it at the right time where you can rest more. You know, like I said, doing it for a whole month. And I recommend, you know, optimally it's great to do it 2 to 3 times a year, and, you know, springtime's a brilliant time to do it. After the winter period when you've been, you know, having heavier foods, and also in the spring you've got lighter days, it's warmer, so your body's got a lot more energy to be able to cope with doing a detox, and it's not as depleting on the system and doesn't affect the immune system if you're doing it in the winter time. And I think just naturally in springtime, I personally get quite an urge just to sort of clear things out in the house as well, really. It's you know, and it helps you lose a bit of weight for the summer as well. So it's really good to optimise immunity and energy levels. And then it's great to do it again sort of autumn time, you know, just late summer, autumn time, to really prepare your body for the winter period, to really clear out any bacterial viruses lying dormant in your system, really boost the immune system before the winter, so that you're not as susceptible to colds and flus and things.
Right, so it is a bit of a lifestyle change,
It is a lifestyle
let's say.
change,
I think the
yes.
other thing is that if there's anything that I can do or one can do,
Yes.
what would it be?
So, I mean, just as you know, a maintenance thing, actually, all year round. Just, you know, first thing in the morning, you can have you know, a warm mug of water with squeezed lemon in. Lemon's really good to help flush the liver. There's some really good lifestyle things you can do. So one of the things that I like doing every day, not just in a detox period, is actually using a tongue scraper.
Right.
So often when you get up in the morning, if you have a look at your tongue in the mirror, we've often got a white film or even sometimes yellow film across our tongue, and that's lots of bacteria and toxins from the body. And instead of, you know, the first thing you do, you go downstairs, grab a cup of coffee and swallow that down and swallow the toxins back down again, it's a really good thing to actually use a tongue scrape to scrape the tongue so you're not swallowing it down. Exercise is really great because it's a great way to sort of open the pores and sweat toxins out. Having a sauna, another great way to do that. And then also if you are sort of committing to do a proper detox period, then making sure in that time you're getting loads of rest, because it does take a lot of energy to cleanse the system. And also to be aware, actually, it's not always just physically cleansing. It can also, in Chinese medicine, they believe that we hold on to a lot of emotional stress in the body as well. And you can often find when doing quite a deep detox that emotional things might come up as well. So it's just something else to be aware of. And then another thing that you can do, and I like to do weekly, twice a week usually, is have a salt bath using Epsom salts, Himalayan pink salt, even magnesium flakes, because that really helps draw toxins out of the body and helps remineralize your body as well.
Well, it sounds like you have a very glamorous life, but one of the things in the news is that, you know, there's a debate about supplements, food supplements.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Supplements for detoxing or just in general?
Well, I mean, a little bit of both, I suppose.
Yeah, so when it comes to supplementation, I really like to try and stick to, they're called food state or food grown supplements, or using supplements like superfoods, really, like the chlorella I mentioned before. It's always best to get it from food. Your body sees it as a food. It's much better absorbed in the body. It has the right cofactors in the right ratio to really help absorb the nutrients, as opposed to taking synthetic supplements. So when it comes to detox supplements, there's loads of great kits, really easy kits that you can do, detox kits. One that I particularly like is one from a company called Renew Life, and they do a morning tablet and an evening tablet you take, and it's just a blend of different organic herbs. And it's really important to make sure when you're doing a cleanse that you're not just taking herbs that cleanse the liver, but the whole system. So the liver, the colon, the kidneys, and the arteries. So it's a full cleanse. Lots of the herbs in there might be things like milk thistle, dandelion, burdock, which really helps clean the blood, things like rhubarb and triphala that helps clean the colon. So there's lots of great things you can take. And actually there's a really great product that you can actually take all year round, even in the winter period. And that's actually olive leaf extract supplement. And you can take that in liquid or tablet form, preferably liquid, because it's much easier absorbed in the body. But olive leaf is actually antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, cleans the liver, colon and kidneys, but it's not depleting on the system. It's both nourishing and cleansing, so it boosts the immune system. It's supposed to increase the white blood cell count, increases energy levels, and is packed full of antioxidants, but whilst also cleansing. So if you want to do the dry January and do a detox in the January when it's very popular after the Christmas period, then olive leaves is a really great thing to take any time of the year.
I have actually heard of olive leaf. It seems to be the buzz substance at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, apart from the olive leaf, if I want to know more, where do I go? What do I do?
book in with a nutritionist. I mean, there's lots of information online as well. There's some, different plans that you can also find online. But really sitting down with a nutritionist, because different people have different conditions. Actually, if our detoxification system's not working effectively, then it can actually cause more harm. And actually seeing a nutritionist is really important to just get the right things in place for the individual. And one of the most important things actually when you're detoxing is really making sure that your colon's supported, because it's our main elimination route. And so it's making sure you're taking a really good fibre blend. You can make your own actually out of milled flax seeds, rice bran, slippery elm powder. Mix it in a tub, put a spoon in water and drink that back on an empty stomach. You can also get pre-made ones, but what it does is sort of bulks up and it binds to the toxins and draws it out of the colon, so that when you're doing the detox, you haven't got sort of toxins floating around in the system, and then it starts coming out potentially in the skin in the form of spots, which is obviously something you want to avoid. So really speaking to a professional is good.
Thank you to Nikki Hillis, who's a nutritionist, for your insight today.
Thank you very much for having me here.